Have you ever had someone just tell you what to do? And then how do you react? I mean, it depends upon if you're looking for the advice or not. But what helps you to change more, especially if you're not bought into it? Someone telling you what to do, or someone asking you questions and helping you to think it through. So the best thing you can do is help someone come to a conclusion that's healthy, but at least then it's their conclusion, rather than you telling them what to do. And so they can decide, yes, I think that would probably be better. And then they own it, and they're much more likely to do it. We're going to spend a fair amount of time on this, but I just want to get in brief overview, 5 types of questions. The first type of question is generic questions. And we have a long list of them. Frankly, there's a long list of them listed in the mentor materials that we provide. But it's just questions that you ask over and over again. Like a typical question we'll ask is, so in the material, anything jump out at you? Anything grab you? Generic question, is that a big problem or a little problem? Or, hey, John, what did you think of what your wife just said? We have a number of generic questions, and we've provided a number inside of the content. Type 2 are open-ended questions. Now, I bet you've probably heard of open-ended questions, and they're questions that don't have a yes or no answer. And I think they're great, but there's also a reason to use closed-ended questions, and let me go into this. So here's types of questions. There's what types of questions, what or how. And these are open-ended questions. What are you thinking about that? Or what do you feel? Or how did that make you feel when that happened? These are all what or how kind of questions. There are why questions. And why questions can be tricky because it depends upon the inflection in my voice. If I say, why did you do that? It sounds critical, like I'm saying you're stupid for doing that. But if I said something like, well, help me understand why, what were you thinking? Then it's more curious. So how can you stay curious rather than condemning? So why questions are tricky, but you can use them. Where, when, and who questions. These are questions that are going to elicit information. And sometimes you just need more information to be able to understand the situation. And, so when did that happen? Or where were you at when that happened? All of these are just eliciting specific information. There's do or did questions. Now, these are closed-ended questions. And that's okay. You can ask a closed-ended question and then follow up with an open-ended question. And frankly, sometimes closed-ended questions are helpful to get someone to commit. So for example, I could say something like, well, did you enjoy the church service? Yeah, I did enjoy it. Oh, well, tell me about that. What'd you like? I got you to commit that you enjoyed it, and now I'm probing as to what it is that you liked about it. So I followed a closed-ended question up with an open-ended question. I wonder, you must, I'd like to hear. All of these are types of questions that are indirect, and you're saying, hey, I wonder if you're feeling this, or, you must have done that, is that right? And it's ways to be curious and to ask questions and to probe a little bit deeper. Type 3 are revealing questions. And these are questions that maybe reveal something that hasn't come up, and it's okay to take a shot in the dark sometimes, but it might be something like, when your spouse comes home, it seems like you get angry. Is that accurate? Or, is there something more under that anger? Is there hurt underneath that anger? But it can reveal things that are there. A real popular question that people ask is, if your marriage were perfect and you woke up tomorrow, there was a miracle, what would that look like? And it can help someone to set a goal or an outcome. Type 4 are consequence questions. And these are some of the questions that I see mentors struggling with in not doing, yet they're one of the most effective questions that will help to create change. Because if you are pre-decision, then it is about looking at the pros and cons of changing. What is the impact if I do this? What's the impact if I don't? So I'll say, wow, that sounds like a big problem. Would you agree? Yeah, that is a big problem. Okay, well, what happens if you continue with that? Is that going to build your connection or tear it down? You're going to feel more validated or less validated. You said you want to feel more love. Do you think that behavior will help with that? You can ask the consequence questions that will help people to think through the consequences to their actions. And we're going to spend a lot more time on consequence questions. So I'm going to come back to that in a later post. And type 5 are directive questions. These are not questions to ask early on. This is after you build a relationship. So they're questions that could cost a relational capital. In other words, they're confrontational oftentimes. So some examples are, you don't agree on this. What are you going to do when it comes up again? Or real confrontational, when are you going to stop texting your old girlfriend? What are you going to do to stop putting each other down? I've noticed every time that your wife brings this up, you shut down and want to walk away. Do you think that's helping your relationship or not? But these are questions that it takes a little bit of relationship to be able to take that risk in knowing how they're going to react to that. So 5 types of questions. Generic questions, open-ended questions, revealing questions, consequence questions, and directive questions. So again, I hope that list just helps you to think through when you're not sure what types of questions to ask. Maybe that'll give you a few ideas.